Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we have 21 tips that will help you win one game of Pokemon in 2021. These are all relatively small mechanical or team building tips that will come up rarely, but when they do, they will cost you the game if you don't know them, so I'm just going to lay them out for you. What I'd like you to do is go and comment down below one memorable time that one of these mechanics won or lost you a game. With that, let's get into it. First off, Yawn still makes your Pokemon drowsy in misty terrain. This means that if the terrain changes or goes away before the next turn, you will still fall asleep. If not, Yawn will fizzle. This is not true of electric terrain, which stops grounded Pokemon from getting drowsy in the first place. It's worth noting that Yawn tries to put your Pokemon to sleep before Misty Terrain ends on Misty Terrain's last turn, so you will not fall asleep in that case. In general, the order in which things happen at the end of the turn can be very important. Weather damage happens before grassy terrain and leftovers recovery, which happens before leech seed, toxic, and bind damage. Keep in mind, you do get healed on the last turn of grassy terrain before it fades. Furthermore, Perish Song faints Pokemon before Tailwind and Trick Room expire. Remember that Pokemon faint in order of speed, taking into account speed modifiers and Trick Room. This is relevant because the player whose Pokemon faints last from Perish Song will win the game. Speaking of winning the game, if you take the last KO, but have your last Pokemon faint due to Life Orb or another type of recoil, you do still win the game. However, if you take the last knockout and lose your last Pokemon due to Explosion, you will lose the game. If the game ends due to the overall game timer, the player with more Pokemon will win. If you have the same number, then the game will sum up the total amount of HP remaining and divide it by the total HP of the Pokemon that you brought to the game, and the player with the higher percentage of total HP will win the game. Healing Wish fully heals the Pokemon that is switched in. If the Pokemon that you switch in is already at full health, it will heal the next Pokemon that you switch into that slot that has already taken damage, even if it's several turns later. You could also trigger this healing by using Ally Switch. There's a number of HP benchmarks that you should consider when EV training depending on your team, but the most important thing to take away from this is that Pokemon almost always rounds down. If your Pokemon has a Life Orb, its HP stat should be 1 less than a number divisible by 10, which in short form in team reports is often denoted as 10n-1. A Pokemon with 149 HP only takes 14 points of Life Orb recoil, whereas a Pokemon with 150 HP takes 15 points. Weather does 1/16 damage per turn, so if you have a Tyranitar on your team, consider making sure that your non-Sandstorm immune Pokemon are 1 point less than divisible by 16, or 16n-1, to take 1 less point per turn. On the other hand, leftovers in grassy terrain recover by 1/16, so if that's more common and you want to maximize your recovery, consider having your Pokemon be divisible by 16. It's also worth considering reducing Leech Seed damage, which is 1/8 of your HP, and Gmax residual damage, which is 1/6 of your HP. If you're worried about Regieleki, you can make it so your Pokemon take less damage from Electro Ball, not by increasing your special defense, but by increasing your speed. On screen, I have the benchmarks to reduce Electro Ball's base power against both timid and modest Regieleki, making calcing for it a lot easier. If the order in which your Pokemon move is very important, make sure that they still move in that order after a speed drop. If your Pokemon have a 1 point difference in speed and get hit by an Electroweb or Icy Wind, they might speed tie since Pokemon rounds down. This is probably fine a lot of the time, but you don't want your Assurance Tyranitar or Weakness Policy Pokemon to move before its partner. This might be worth giving them a 2-point speed gap instead, but you should do the math. If you're weak to Porygon 2, it's worth EVing not to give it download boosts. Download sums up the defense and special defense of 2 Pokemon that you have on the field. Look at common lead combinations and, if possible, make it so the sum of their defense is less than the sum of their special defense. It's worth noting that if Wheezing switches out, its stats are still considered in the download boost that occurs when neutralizing gas wears off. If neutralizing gas ends because Wheezing is knocked out, however, its stats will not be considered in the download boost. Some other relevant neutralizing gas interactions that you should know are that you can protect in front of Urshifu because Unseen Fist is negated. However, Protect will not work on its Gmax move, which attacks through Protect and Max Guard. Levitate goes away, which means Rotom can not only be hit by ground-type moves, but it can also set up electric terrain and use the boost for itself while Dynamaxed. Finally, Slow Start goes away even if Wheezing is switched in. This is notable because it was bugged on Pokemon Showdown at the start of the format, but it has since been fixed. There's a lot of other weird neutralizing gas interactions. Just make sure to think through your moves when facing down a Wheezing. If you Strength Sap a Pokemon with Clear Body, their attack will not drop, but you will still gain HP. If you Strength Sap a Pokemon with Mirror Armor, they will reflect the attack drop, but you will still gain HP. If you Strength Sap a Pokemon with Magic Bounce, you will lose the attack and they will gain the HP. If you Parting Shot a Clear Body Pokemon or a Pokemon with -6 stages of attack and special attack, it will fail and you will not switch. If you Parting Shot a Pokemon with Mirror Armor, you take the attack drop, but then you still switch out. If you Parting Shot a Magic Bounce Pokemon, you take the attack drop, but they are forced to switch out, making Incineroar the perfect counter to Hatterene. If a Pokemon gains a boost prior to turn 1, such as with Defiant or Download, it can still be burned on the first turn with Burning Jealousy. Similarly, a turn 1 Intimidate does boost the power of Lash Out. Lash Out also doubles in power if an ally lowers his stats, say with something like Bulldoze. Rising Voltage checks whether the target is grounded, not the user. Zapdos, for example, can Dynamax and use Max Electric, then abuse a strong non-max move in electric terrain afterwards provided its targets are grounded. You can preempt weather and terrain setters to give them fewer turns. For example, if you set up Grassy Terrain turn 1 and Rillaboom comes in turn 4, it will only have one turn to abuse its own terrain. Copycat copies the last move used by any Pokemon. If this would be a max move, it copies the base move instead. This is often abused by using Max Guard and Copycat to set up Trick Room. Just because you outspeed something at +1 when they were at neutral, it doesn't mean that you'll outspeed them if you both get an additional speed boost. Similarly, if you underspeed something at -1 and you both lose a stage of speed, you may no longer underspeed them. This is because of ratios, not rounding. For example, 90 speed Primarina will outspeed 130 speed Diggersby that has a stat drop because it's at 86 speed. However, if they both have an additional speed drop, say due to Bulldoze, Diggersby now outspeeds Primarina because it's at 65 speed, which is faster than 60. Lagging Tail and Full Incense have seen more meta play recently. They make the holder move last in their priority bracket. However, if you trick a Lagging Tail or Full Incense to a Pokemon, this effect will not apply until the next turn. Last but not least, Life Dew, Howl, and Coaching all go through Protect and Max Guard, making it an easy way to get a stat boost. Life Dew also gets absorbed by Storm Drain, giving a special attack boost. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to click that subscribe button. We are so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers, and it would be the perfect way to start the new year if we got there. I hope you enjoyed and learned a lot from this video and win some games because of it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you all later.